Speak your truth. We have with us Dr. Delice Coffey. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Super excited to have you on here and to hear your story. So first, can you tell us about your background? Tell us where you're from, about your family, all of that.
I'm originally from Waxhaw, North Carolina, and I came to North Carolina Central University in Durham. So when I came to school and after I graduated, I just stayed in Durham. So Durham is now where I live, but home will always be home. There's no place like home.
Definitely.
And I'm from a family of 5. I have a brother and sister older than me and a brother and sister younger than me. And all of us was in athletics in some form, in some fashion, pretty much all of my life.
That's amazing. So tell us then, talk about athletics. Tell us about your powerlifting career. How did you even get into that? Because you were a cheerleader, right?
Yes. So I started out cheerleading. I was a cheerleader in high school and junior high school. And my brothers, they played basketball and football. My oldest sister and my youngest sister were both cheerleaders as well. So it's kind of like everything just runs in the family. So my brothers were playing and we were cheering. And my sister, she's older, so I actually started watching her cheer before I was old enough to cheer, and then watching my older brothers play before I was old enough to cheer for them. So it was an exciting just journey and transitioning, just watching my brothers and my sisters cheer and then following that footstep. That was really exciting and amazing.
Yes.
And after I graduated from high school, it's just kind of in me to stay active doing something. So I was always in the gym, working out and just doing cardio and just having fun, really. And really didn't have any specific goal to power lift or do anything to that nature. I was just in there because I wanted to stay in my clothes, So that's why I was really working out. And interesting, because a lot of people don't know this because I don't talk about it, is I started out wanting to be a bodybuilder. So I was in the gym and then a coach came up to me. He told me, you should bodybuild. And then I'm like, bodybuild, I can't do that. So you know how coaches are. A good coach can see your potential. So I'm like, okay, whatever, because I was scared to say no. He was like really a dominant force. So I was afraid to say no to him. So I'm like, okay. And I wasn't serious. So I was training under him and he would give us a workout and I had a workout partner and I would do the workout. But here again, I'm not like, oh, I'm being this competition and I'm going to really win. I was just doing it just because I was in the gym working out anyway. It wasn't any different.
Right.
So it was competition time. And he said, okay, we're going to do this competition. It was a local competition.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, whatever, I wasn't expecting to win. I wasn't out of shape, but I wasn't like in the best shape. I was like, okay.
Right.
And then like I said, I wasn't expecting to win because I know I didn't put in the work and I know I wasn't focused and I know I wasn't doing everything the coach told me to do. So of course I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
I entered the contest and I got 3rd place.
What?
I got 3rd place. I was shocked. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. So after that, I'm like, you know what? If I get serious and really do this, I can bodybuild. So that was kind of confirmation for me that, yes, you can do it. You're working out and you're staying in shape anyway, and you look okay. You look good enough to get on stage. And not being serious and get 3rd place, you need to rethink that. So I got excited because I like bodybuilding. I like the physique. I like the look, but I just thought it wasn't anything that I could do.
Right.
I trained under him for a while. He was at the time Mr. USA. So I trained under him and entered several competitions. And, I started getting 1st and 2nd places. And in bodybuilding, the big one is the overall. So I didn't get an overall, and the reason why was the diet.
What?
The diet.
Eat right, huh?
Diet. Exactly. So, the higher you go up, those little things start mattering a lot.
Yes.
So now, I'm trying to get really ripped and hard. My diet is super important because I'm on a different level of competing. And the diet, I do good for a while, and then I would break it because when I was training, we would have a 12-week competition diet. And as you know, any sport, basketball, football, gymnastics, volleyball. If you want to be on that elite level, it's a lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
just a 12-week on process. It's a lifestyle. And for me back then, I didn't know that.
Man.
And that's just not my generation.
Mhm.
So, we would do whatever we want to do on the off season, eat whatever we want to do, and then when that 12 weeks before the competition, we start dieting. So I would diet for a couple of weeks, then I'll break it. And then I'm like, okay, I can catch up. So I'm doing a lot of cardio, doing a lot of extra work, burn it off. I'm back on track. And I'll break it
Again. Come
Uh-huh.
on, doctor, now.
And after you break a diet, now listen, the 12 weeks don't get longer, it gets shorter.
We only got 12 weeks. What you doing?
Exactly. So now it's just too close to recoup. And it's kind of one of those situations, if I compete, I'm probably good for second or third and probably more third. But at that point in my career, third was out of the window. Like, phew, I'm going for the overall. So I got to get first. Yeah. And it was just really a struggle. And it was a struggle to the point where I got to the point where I started, wondering, can I really do this? Because it's not like I broke it one time for one competition. It was beginning to be a pattern. Every time I get ready for a competition, I would break the diet. So then once you start doubting yourself, then you open the door for all these other negativities to start creeping in your mind. And they did. So I was disappointed in myself. I felt bad. I felt like I was letting the coach down. And then it just got to the point where it's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So I went to the Valley of Life. And I stayed there until I was ready to come out, or until the universe brought me out, really. Because, I was down there having a pity party. And, nobody want to be with anybody who's having a pity party. So after having a pity party by yourself for so long, you get tired. You get tired. So finally, I kind of mustered up enough energy and kind of clowned out of the Valley of Life and just got back in the gym. Because my thinking was, you enjoy being in the gym. Just go back in the gym. I got back in the gym. I was working out. I had no vision. I had no goals. I was just working out. I was just like, I got to get back to me. And just kind of being there, I started feeling a little better. But here again, if you don't have goals and don't have dreams, it just kind of takes something out of working hard. So I wasn't working hard. And the interesting thing is, a powerlifting girl came up to me and said, you ought to powerlift.
Here we go again.
I go again. I'm like, she doesn't know my story. And I'm not about to tell them. So, you know how proud athletes are, so I'm still, okay, I'll do it. And I said it with confidence, but on the inside, it's like, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. So I went back home, for a few days after that. It was just like, what have I gotten myself into? What am I going to do? And then I just really just started thinking, kind of thinking about when I was like really happy and just thinking about when things were really easy, and then kind of slipped back into the childhood days. And, I just kind of used to play and have fun. And then I remember I was in the gym just lifting and having fun. So it's like, okay, just do it. Just have fun. Just go out there and just do your best, but enjoy it. So that was kind of my goal. I didn't want to let her down, and I'm competitive, so I truly wanted to win. So we started working out together, and competition time came. And this time in powerlifting, just really try to lift more than you did the last time. So my goal was always to lift a little more in the competition than I did in practice, which is a realistic goal because you have the adrenaline going. So again, I got into a powerlifting and I did well. I was just really excited. And then, of course, the more you win, the more excited it gets. In each competition, I lift more and more weight. So I wasn't so much concentrating on beating the other person or breaking records or anything. I was always competing against myself, because while I'm competing against myself, I'm getting mentally strong. My confidence is coming back up. I feel good about myself. And I want to be me. So that's kind of what, that was my mindset when I was competing. Just do better. Every time you go to the gym, do better. Every time you go to a competition, do better.
Yes.
And the girl that I was working out with, she was one that was heavy on the stats, you know, so I was, whatever. So I went to a competition. It was a state competition, and I broke the record. I broke the record. I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is fun. And then here again, she kept saying, let's do this competition. Let's do this competition. And my focus here again, each competition, I'm going to do better. Long story short, I broke 10 North Carolina state records, the APA national record, and the APA world record in powerlifting.
I'm talking to a superstar right now. My goodness. When I read that, I was like nobody told me this. Wait, what?
It's a story. And listen, your question, you ask a short question. How did you get into powerlifting? Oh, it was a long story. I didn't start in powerlifting.
And I love it because like you never know how and why people start doing stuff. And that's an amazing story. You started off doing one thing and it led you to something else that, I mean, you were amazing in. It led you to what you were supposed to be doing. That's amazing.
Exactly. And the wonderful thing that I like about teaching mental skills now, if I had known now when I was bodybuilding, I probably would have had a different outcome, because once things started going downhill bodybuilding, I didn't have the mental skills or the mental tool to push through when things got tough.
Yes.
So I went to the valley.
Yes.
I went to the valley. And then another thing I find interesting about powerlifting, I kind of went within and did what I do naturally. And as a result of that, when I got to college and graduated from college and was too old to compete, it's like, you know what? There's a thing called mental game coaching. So I started researching mental game coaching. It's like everything I did as a powerlifting is what they taught me in school. I'm like, this is amazing. This is amazing. That's why I'm just so hard set on mental skills training, because it works. It worked for me because before I was formally trained, before I knew what I was doing, I was doing it. Exactly. And now that I've actually gone back to school and, you know, got degrees and certifications in this, I'm like, this is backed by research. This is some awesome stuff.
Yes, it is amazing. And I feel the same exact way, that if I had have known what I know now, man, I would still be playing basketball. We wouldn't be talking probably. I'll be so focused on hooping, because that was the missing thing. Like you said, the higher you go, the more you have to have. And that was the one thing I did not have, was the mental skills, the toughness to keep going. Like you said, just always going to the valley when I'm knocked down. And I'm just going because we all go, but to stay is a whole different thing, and talking ourselves out of climbing back up. So I'm glad that you are here now, because that's a beautiful story and a beautiful transition. And so many athletes and so many people, period, need to hear you and speak to you also.
Thank you.
Of course. So speaking of that, what made you get into sports psychology? Was it that experience or what? Yeah.
It seemed like everything I've done, it was almost like a sidestep. So I actually went to college to do clinical psychology. So I got my degree in clinical psychology, and I got licensed as a psychologist to do clinical work. And I did that for about over 2 decades. And I loved it. I loved it. But anytime you do anything for so long, you kind of wonder what else is out there. Exactly. You kind of want to say, I want to do something different. Yeah. So when that itch to do something different came, I started just kind of reaching for the next. I created my own perfume line. I created my own soap. I wrote 3 workbooks, and, you know, but none of those things stuck. You know, I did it. It's like, I did it. And that's it.
Yeah,
I did it. And that's it.
Yeah, but you did it and you tried. How many other people can say that? That's cool, man.
So here again, even when I wasn't competing, I was always staying active, you know, running, doing 5Ks, you know, still in the gym, throwing weights around. Yeah. And my brother has an AAU basketball team. So I was always going to his games, you know, so I'm still in the athletic world. And I kid you not, I stumbled across the words mental game coach while I'm surfing the web like all of us do. And then when I came across that word, I just stopped and I started reading. I'm like, oh, this sounds good. Mental, I get to stay in psychology. And I also get to participate in sports. Mental game coach, this sounds good. So I went and got certified as a mental game coach.
That's awesome.
So, and I was doing that for a while, and I did that for a few years. I was working with athletes. They were getting, success, and they were doing well. And I got excited all over again. So I went back to school and got a doctorate degree in sports and performance psychology. Because I'm like, you know what? This is great. This is good. This is the thing I did back in the day.
Yep.
And now you can actually get a degree, a certification. You can teach this, and you can really help athletes excel on that highest level. And the thing is, just like you said, once you get so far up in your sport, the only thing that's going to keep you growing is your mental game.
Exactly.
So that's how I got into sports psychology. I started out doing clinical psychology work. I just wanted to do something different. But the thing that I could stay with, the thing that was my passion, the thing that I loved and I enjoyed doing, it was sports psychology. It was no effort in trying to do that.
Did you ever question yourself when you decided to transition from clinical to sports psychology?
That's just it. I didn't transition out. I kept doing both of them.
Nice.
Yep.
Look at you.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
It is perfect. One thing that a lot of people didn't realize, and we're just now beginning to realize it, especially with our elite players with Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka, and then some of the old ones that we didn't listen to come out. Mental health is just as important as physical health. And what I've seen all along in my practice is when an athlete comes to me because they're having performance issues, once I kind of deep dive and start uncovering what the issue might be and then what the issue is, it always kind of hover around a mental health issue. They're having problems at home. The parents, it's a single family home and mom's not home a lot. And then we're struggling to pay bills and mom's always upset. Or it could be girlfriend, boyfriend problems, or it could be death in the family. And those things were interfering with their performance. So I'm like, I can't teach you skills to improve your performance until we work on what's hindering and what's stopping and what's blocking your performance. So I will work on the mental health piece. And then what I'm seeing now is you cannot separate the two. Some athletes come to you and it's clearly a sports issue. Some athletes come to you clearly a mental health issue. Then some come to you and they don't know what it is. And we as experts, when they come to us and don't know what it is, we have a responsibility to figure it out and give them what they need, how they need it. And if we take that approach to it, you have to put mental health first. You must put mental health first. And I just loved it when Simone Biles came out and said, she was having some mental health issues. Nobody understood because it's like, that's the GOAT. She's the best, hands down. And then even when she messed up on the vault, it was good.
Amen. Because she's too good. She is, incredible.
Yeah. So it was hard for us or for the general population to understand what she was talking about. But what happened was something wasn't 100% with her, and it was all in her head. And she was aware enough to know that there was just a little something off, but that little something in the difficulties that she performed, it could be life-ending. So she made the right call to not do it. And it was all mental health. It had nothing to do with her performance. It was all mental health.
How important for, like Simone, you said it could have been like life-ending for her. So how important is that awareness for people to know like the difference between I'm having an issue and I can keep pushing, and I'm having an issue and I need to take a break, I need to talk to somebody, or whatever they have to do to get themselves back right?
The issue is super important, and I would say super, super important, because if you can catch something early, you're going to preserve your mental health, you're going to preserve your physical health. And when you're preserving your physical health, you will not get injured. But when you push through, you don't know what you're pushing through. You don't know what you're pushing through. And then that causes more problems, because one thing that would be really good with everyone, especially athletes, if you just do an assessment, do a mental health assessment to see what's going on. And that way, if it's nothing serious, you already know, okay, if this just happened to surface, then I can do this. Most of us don't know where our hot buttons are, and most of us don't have strategies and tools to deal with things before it becomes a problem. And that's what Simone did. Simone made a call before it became a problem. And I could tell right away she was already working with a sports psychologist, because you have to have insight to know that. And that insight doesn't come overnight. That insight come over a few sessions. So I think it's really important for us to make a connection with a psychologist or a sports psychologist or a mental health psychologist, just so you can have insight to protect yourself, so you can excel on the highest level.
Yes, that is so important. And that's, like I said, I wish I had all of that, because it would have saved me, like you said, a lot of time, first of all, and just health, different issues, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything just completely broken down because I wasn't aware. And also, I think having the right people around you is so important, because from my personal experience, I had a lot of people tell me that I wasn't experiencing anything mentally, which how can you tell me, and I'm the one in here, not you. So I'm very, very grateful for the people who do have the right ones around them. And now for myself, I do as well, because I mean, even this morning I woke up and said, just from last week, I'm in a completely different mindset, just because I'm so intentional about growing and being aware, just completely self-aware. And I'm, like I said, grateful for Simone, because like you said, anything could have happened up there for her, or to her. And I didn't think about that. I read it on a comment on Instagram that, when you're doing gymnastics, you can have life-ending injuries. And that's so insane that we put, our people don't realize that we put our lives out there on the line every single day, not just our bodies risking a ankle twist, like you could break a neck or anything. Some people have, cardiac arrest out there. So it's super important for all of us to be aware of not just our minds, but how our bodies are feeling too. But those go hand in hand. And I believe you said that earlier as well.
That's true. That's so true.
Yes. Why do you work with basketball and football players specifically? I know you cheerleaded for them in high school. Is that why, or is it another reason?
That's exactly why. I knew more about that. Like I said before, my brothers played basketball. My brother have an AAU team. He have showcase team. So I was constantly around basketball and football. So that's just kind of what I knew. But the beauty of being a mental game coach is the foundation of the skills is applicable to any sport. So I can work with any athlete in any sport, because the skills and the strategies, it doesn't change. And it just so happened that's kind of, what my web presence is, simply because I grew up in it. I grew up in basketball.
I feel it. Stick to what you're good at, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It, do. I feel it. Do you plan to expand into any other sports? And also, can anyone outside of North Carolina work with you?
Yeah. Now, I work with athletes in other sports right now. Okay. I do soccer. I've had a gymnastic client a while back. And then I've had Episcopalian. So I work with different athletes now. Trying to think of some more, I can't think quick enough. But I have a combination of a lot of different athletes. Most of them just happen to be basketball players. Yes.
Good. I mean, not good, like I don't want anybody else to get help, but good for the basketball players, because I know athletes, period, want to be tough, but especially, basketball, football, so much testosterone, everybody feels like they have to always be, on it, and it's okay to not be okay sometimes. My last question for you, Dr. Coffey, do you have any advice for coaches who are dealing with players that are struggling with their mental health? I know you mentioned that they should do an assessment, and I totally agree with that. What are some other things that they can do though right now?
The best thing a coach can do if they know a person is struggling with mental health is to refer them to a psychologist. Coaches have a lot on their plate, and they're already mentors and father figures and mother figures, so they're already doing a lot. So to add that mental health piece on, that's just too much. That's too much because it's really deep. So the best thing and the only thing you can do is to help connect them with a psychologist or therapist.
So what if, because I know for me, I didn't want to go see a therapist in college. My coach at UK, he wanted me to go. It was a heated, not a heated argument, just conversation, very intense because I was just pushing back so much. I'm from a Black household. We don't talk about that. You don't go to therapy, you crazy. So what would you tell a coach who has a player like me who is struggling with mental health, but also doesn't see the importance of getting the help that they need?
And that's where a little work is going to come with the coach. If the coach would research and find someone that they think you might connect with, because the coach know you. So the coach may know a therapist that's different, because all therapists, all psychologists are not alike. We all have different styles and different approaches. So it would be very helpful if the coach would go out again and try to find someone that would match with you. And the reason I say that is because I don't approach every situation the same. Most of the time when I work with an athlete, I talk to the coach first to try to get an idea of how the athlete is, what the issues might be, and how receptive they are to seeing me. And if they're not receptive, I just come from a different angle. I'm a psychologist and a mental game coach. We don't have to talk about your mental health issues today. How many points did you score in the last game? When is the next game? I want to come. Is it okay if I come?
Yeah.
So I spend extra time building rapport. And we may go a few sessions before we start talking about the mental health issues, because if I know they're already resistant to the mental health issues, and like you said, it's part of our culture. You know, we don't go. Whatever happens in the house, stay in the house. I know that, and I'm no different. It was the same when I was growing up. So I'm very sensitive to that. So I take a lot of time building rapport, and then I kind of let the athlete gauge and lead the way. You know, I may kind of ask questions, and if they answer it, fine, we'll keep going. If they don't, we could talk about hoops. That's fun for me too.
Yes. I love it, man. I needed you back in my day. You and the other two, I had another two psychologists on. Both of them are Black women as well. And I was like, where were y'all a few years ago? But it is never too late. Never too late. Dr. Coffey, I really appreciate you being on here with us. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we get done?
Yeah, if you want more information or some free resources, you can go to my website. It's Mindset Sports with an S, psychology.com. And then you can always reach out to me if you need to, 704-201-2460. And that information is also on the website. If you want a free assessment, I'm open to do that. You know, just anything I can do to help you get to the next level, I'm open to do that.
Perfect. I love it. And I'll make sure I put all this information in the show notes so that they also have it there. And when I promote your episode on Instagram, so everybody always have it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, I enjoyed it too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. My pleasure.